Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge. They don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like. Wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. I hope you guys are having a great day. If you are new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Good to see you, Tiffany and Leandra, Petty Patty, and James Payday Owens. Thank you so much. He said, good evening, Pam and Intellects. I'm traveling through the volunteer state waiting to see what we about to talk about. Well, what we're going to talk about, James Payday Owens, we're going to talk about a lawsuit that we went over before. We try to keep track of these lawsuits. It's so many of them. And it is one that Diddy got pissed and fed up, and he sued Ariel Mitchell, the attorney. And he also sued, I think it was the network, based on some comments, I guess, that she had allegedly made related to him. And the response is interesting. Okay. She has filed a motion to dismiss the complaint. And the arguments are, I'm going to let y'all see for yourself. But I was just kind of like, the way the facts were framed, and again, she's being represented by somebody, it seems like a little shift when it comes to how Diddy is being kind of portrayed and described. And very interesting. Very, very interesting. But y'all about to see it in a minute. Yes, please make sure you like the video. As you guys know, we ain't been getting the likes and the shares. So a lot of people haven't been getting notifications. So in order for them to get it, I did post it on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it's at Pam ESQ. Go follow me over on Instagram. I don't post as much as I should, but I do post in the story. So I usually post before I go live. So if you don't get your notification, you may get it over there as just an alternate, form. I also probably should have posted it on my wall as well. But yeah, we trying to get back in this good algorithm. Miss T, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Shantae, one of one, said, I love this for her. The Three Stooges have all been sued by lawyers that are way better than them. Busby, Blackburn, and Mitchell. And speaking of Blackburn, you know that he was in court today, defending himself on an order to show cause. I did post that in my membership. The judge has taken it under advisement. So we don't know the outcome of that. And this is in the TD Jakes case. Okay, I know it's hard to keep up because every time you turn around, it's somebody trying to get Rule 11 sanctions. Granny the Great said, good evening, Pam, Dev, and Mods and Intellects. Good evening, Granny the Great. Good to see you. Yes, please make sure. Thank you, Tiffany. Make sure you hit the bell and select all to your notifications. If you don't select all, you're not getting no notifications either. Some people, if you've done that, you may have to unsubscribe and subscribe again. But hopefully we get back in the rhythm and get back into the algorithm soon. But yeah. Hi, GC. Good to see you. Good to see you. So yeah, we are here. We are back on Diddy. And this is one of the reasons why I limited some of the cases, because there were so many. I think there's been 80 filed against Diddy. So we've only went over a few of them. A lot of those are on hold, awaiting an appellate decision on whether the statute that people have brought it under, because a lot of these were old cases or old claims rather. And so, technically the statute of limitation had expired, but then there were statutes created which allowed an extension of that statute. And Diddy's team is fighting those statutes. And so there are a lot of other cases outside of Diddy where people have been sued for the same, and they already had it up at the Court of Appeals. So because of that, many of the judges are staying the proceedings, awaiting the decisions from the Court of Appeals, because whatever the Court of Appeals comes up with, that is going to be what is called precedent, meaning that the district court, the lower court, is going to have to abide by what the appellate court has to say. So a lot of these cases are stayed. Many of these bad boy records has been released out of them. For the most part, they tried to keep Diddy in, but his companies look like they've been doing pretty well with getting dismissed out of the cases. But yeah, run the likes up, everybody. Run these likes up. So I'm going to get into it because the document is long. Welcome to everybody that's going to come on the replay. I'm going to read for a minute and I'll come back and see what you all have to say, because I thought it was just really, really interesting. The response that it will, like when you read it, I was like, hold on, are we kind of not being so hard on Diddy now? Because they were going hard. It seemed like they was going hard on Diddy. So let me see. Make sure this is the right one. I got so many tabs open. Hold up. Is that? Oh, maybe that is it. I want to be pulling up my own cases. So this is Defendant Mitchell's memo of law in support of her motion to dismiss. So let's get into the background. I want y'all to pay attention to this because I was like, wait, huh? Plaintiff. So again, this is a case that Diddy or Sean Combs has filed against Courtney Burgess. Remember, he was the one that alleged he had a book, and I've heard 3 different ways how he got the book. Then he alleged he had some videos. He was alleging some minors allegedly in these videos. And Ariel Mitchell was actually on a few of those platforms. And remember, on one of those platforms, if I recall correctly, they were talking about the catch or kill, and she made it was like, oh, I seen a still photo or something, I think. And that if it was her advice would be for them to just go ahead and pay or something like that. It was just a lot of little things that seem to be said on these platforms that it seems like it's a bit backpedaling right now. That's all I'm gonna say. So this is the background. Plaintiff is a public figure. That's Diddy, and an American businessman who has successfully rebranded himself countless times in the last 3 decades. Defendants consist of 2 individuals, Courtney Burgess and Ariel Mitchell, and the corporation, New Media Corporation, Nexstar Media. Plaintiff from Puffy to P. Diddy to Diddy to Brother Love. This is the first point. Plaintiff Sean Combs is a bad boy music icon who has achieved insurmountable stardom and wealth over the last 30 years, which the entire world has seen play out through every form of media possibly known. And accumulating wealth worthy of Forbes recognition, the world best knows Plaintiff for his business ventures is not only music, but also in the world of fashion and endless promotion of the alcohol brand Ciroc Vodka. Throughout this time, there have been mentions, rumors, conspiracies that Plaintiff engaged in questionable or even criminal behavior. In November 2023, shocking allegations were spread about the details alleged in the complaint filed in the Southern District of New York, lawsuit by former girlfriend for more than a decade, Cassie Ventura. The lawsuit was quickly settled, leaving spectators to suggest the settlement was for $30 million. Within weeks, New York County Supreme Court and SDNY began experiencing new filings of allegations against plaintiffs by both men and women dating back decades. It did not take long for the conspiracy theories to follow. And almost daily, a new platform emerged with the content creator sharing a more scandalous story than the one published the day before. There seemed to be no limit to length these allegations and conspiracies would go, ranging from the deaths of the rappers and those close to plaintiff to the use of illegal drugs being placed in baby oil. I wonder where that came from. However, plaintiff was also known for always being victorious when faced with legal battles, coupled with his ability to shake off negative publicity and rebrand himself. After the influx of lawsuits at the end of 2023 and beginning of 2024, one day, television screens were glued to the raids of plaintiff California and Star Island, Miami, Florida residences. Lawsuits continue from Manhattan Supreme Court to Los Angeles. Lawyers in front of 1-800 signed champion that they had over 100 victims signed up to sue plaintiff. And plaintiff was arrested on camera in a Manhattan hotel when he traveled to New York City to turn himself in. These stories were unavoidable, and plaintiff then stood tall that he was going to fight the Southern District prosecutors and refused to waive his speedy trial rights, demanding his right to jury trial at rapid speed pace. I'm, getting ahead of myself. Unquestionably, plaintiff is a public figure. Documentary after documentary of the public figure was available to stream with titles such as, quote, Diddy, Monsters Fall, and, quote, The Downfall of Diddy, and, quote, Diddy Summit to Plummet. The trial recently dominated all news outlets from NBC and CNN to the up-and-comers on YouTube with its criminal trial in the SDNY. Yet, despite all the negative publicity, plaintiff's right to a fair trial was unhindered because with over 60 pending lawsuits and daily outrageous scandalous content, plaintiff was able to secure a not guilty jury verdict on RICO conspiracy-related charges and on 2 counts of ex-trafficking charges. I had to go back and see whose lawyer it was. When I looked at the beginning, I said, oh, okay. With all of that in the background, the power of the American jury system prevailed, where 12 individuals were able to review the evidence presented during the trial and reaching this verdict. Simply put, plaintiff was not denied his right to a fair trial and rather benefited from such constitutional rights. What's fascinating is that in all this coverage, filled with some of the most heinous allegations, plaintiff sued Ariel Mitchell, a Miami-based lawyer who just so happened to also be working on legal matters involving lawsuits against plaintiff. The First Amendment complaint, that's what FAC is, fails to allege defamatory statements against Mitchell and must be dismissed because the statements are not reasonably susceptible of a defamatory meaning, and such statements are protected by a qualified privilege, which plaintiffs have not overcome by a pleading of malice. So it's not starting out with the whole, he was accused of this in the indictment, he was sued by this person alleging that he did this. He did, like how all the beginnings of these lawsuits where they start out with Cassie, but now we're not even really talking about, now it's all conspiracies and scandalous and things that he had a fair trial and the jury system just did what it's supposed to do. And now he was found not guilty on the major charges. Shantae said her and her client were baby. And the news shows Lion Willie, he even allegedly testified to the group. Now, he did testify to, we're going to get into that, all right, Shantae? We about to get into that in this document. And you're going to be surprised when we get into that part. Because I started reading this, and I'm not joking. I had to scroll to the top and look at the heading again. Like, is this Diddy's people filing this, or is this her attorney? But anyway, let's go on because we have a lot to read. So let's talk about who is Courtney Burgess. Remember, he's the guy that alleges somebody handed him the manuscript. He got the original and all of this on the book. Plaintiff's FAC alleges that defendant Courtney Burgess is a one-time industry bit player and a fringe character with questionable professional credentials in the music industry. The FAC alleges despite his claims of long-standing involvement in music, there exists no public record of any professional achievements, and he left no detectable footprint on the industry prior to his recent campaign to malign Mr. Combs. The FAC provides a detailed account of Burgess's appearance on the Atwood Unleashed YouTube channel, which described as a significant instance of him fueling the media spectacle. Specifically, the FAC alleges in one such interview broadcast October 31st, 2024, on the Atwood Unleashed YouTube channel, Burgess elaborated on his false claim that he received these materials directly from Kim Porter. So these are all, when you see these, the id and at page 5, paragraph 18, this is all in the complaint. So when you see FAC, it's the First Amendment complaint. So Diddy originally filed a complaint, and then he must have amended it, made some additions, corrections, deletions. And so when you see that, these are quotes that Diddy said in his complaint. Further alleges that, quote, on the broadcast, Burgess falsely claimed that Ms. Porter enlisted the help of a music industry mutual acquaintance to put her files in Burgess's hands. Burgess went on to claim, again falsely, that the first of several flash drives containing the memoir and videos that Ms. Porter supposedly intended for him to have. More importantly, Burgess, Atwood, and Scoville discussed images presented to the audience as supposedly originating from these tapes. Burgess confirmed the authenticity. Atwood asked, quote, is this picture legit? Where Burgess responded, yeah, definitely. Burgess continued with the sensational and speculative commentary, including, quote, comparing Mr. Combs to Lucifer, claiming that Mr. Combs, like Lucifer, destroyed bodies, he destroyed careers. He could get you where you want to be at, but you're going to give up the back end. At all times relevant to this lawsuit, individual defendant Burgess had attorney-client privilege with Mitchell. Conclusory statements alleged in the FAC involving individuals defendants as follows. Quote, Burgess peddled his false and defamatory statement about Mr. Combs to promote himself on social media. Mitchell did the same. Both seek to capitalize on the resulting publicity for financial gain. Okay, so the next part is the corporation defendant, Nexstar, better known as News Nation. The FAC alleges a first broadcast on or about September 27, 2024, where News Nation, upon information and belief, conducted no investigation before broadcasting the false allegations of Mitchell, though it easily could have done so. So that's in the complaint. That same broadcast, the FAC alleges, contained an interview with Mitchell without fact-checking Mitchell's false and injurious accusations. News Nation did not even reach out to Mr. Combs' representative for comment. Without any proof or further allegation, the September 2024 broadcast is linked to an October 31st, 2024 broadcast where Burgess and Mitchell appeared on News Nation Banfield show, which was after Burgess was subpoenaed to the grand jury presiding over plaintiff's criminal matter in the SDNY. The October broadcast consisted of the host introducing the interview by announcing that Burgess, quote, just testified before a federal grand jury. He says he was in possession of a trove of digital evidence of Diddy's freak-offs and parties, end quote. The FAC claims the host stated, quote, because the 8 people in the videos, the 8 celebrities in the videos were allegedly victims of X crimes, We know who they are, but we will not be naming them, famous or not. This statement was false, and the News Nation host knew it was false, or at minimum recklessly disregarded whether the statements were true or false because she had never seen such videos because they don't exist. Now, all of this is quotes from the complaint what Diddy is alleging. The common theme in the FAC and a conclusory allegation was that News Nations profited from falsehoods and that News Nation has likewise profited from repeating and amplifying Burgess's and Mitchell's lies, drawing viewers and promoting its programming based on wholly unsubstantiated lies that would have been revealed as false had News Nation conducted even the most modest fact checking. So now we get to sub D, which is attorney Ariel Mitchell. Ariel Mitchell was a civil attorney based in Miami, Florida, known for litigating high-profile sexual assault cases. The FAC mentions Mitchell in 2021 filed a lawsuit against Trey Songz and then in 2022 against rapper Chris Brown. Without fail and without referencing Florida court findings that the allegations was unsubstantiated, the FAC seeks to presume that Mitchell first tried to bribe a witness in the Trey Songz matter. Then the allegations conclude she launched a media tour in which she repeatedly promoted herself after suing plaintiff. The FAC attempts to retroactively connect Mitchell to Burgess by citing her September 27, 2024 appearance on News Nation in which she discussed purported X tapes being circulated in Hollywood. However, the FAC is devoid of a single allegation that Mitchell had met or spoken with Burgess prior to the media appearance. So what they are alleging is that when she went on that platform in September, she had never physically seen Burgess. Or I guess she had never met him. So she allegedly, as we'll see, didn't even meet him, according to this, until the day he was subpoenaed to go in front of the grand jury. The plaintiff alleges only that, quote, sometime in or around September 2024, Burgess contacted Mitchell seeking to team up with the lawyer, but provides no timeline or proof that they had any coordinated relationship at the time of her News Nation statement. So now they're getting into September 2024 broadcast regarding California lawsuit and police report misstatement. So remember, that's that California lawsuit that eventually got amended, I believe, to add Drewski and all of them. So this somehow goes into this lawsuit as well. The FAC alleges Mitchell previewed a lawsuit on News Nation involving a different client unrelated to Burgess, alleging an assault in Northern California. Specifically, she told the News Nation host, quote, "We also have a police report that was made in 2018, end quote. She also said, quote, "Yes, as soon as I file my lawsuit in civil court, I will be attaching the criminal complaint that was made." The FAC alleges that 2 weeks later, when the lawsuit was filed, the lawsuit did not attach any police report. These statements concerning an ongoing litigation are wholly irrelevant to linking Mitchell to Burgess, or for establishing the nature of statements were defamatory and made for purposes of defaming plaintiff. So they're trying to separate her from Burgess. October 2024 appearance with Burgess on News Nation show. More than a month after Mitchell's independent media statement, she appeared with Burgess on News Nation Banfield show on October 31st, 2024. During that interview, the host stated that Burgess, quote, says he was in possession of a trove of digital evidence of Diddy's freak-offs and parties, end quote, and recounted that, quote, 8 videos featured 8 celebrities, end quote. Worthy of mention is that Mitchell herself does not appear to make or affirm these specifics on air. Rather, plaintiff stretches Mitchell's presence to imply endorsement. You're sitting on the stage next to the person that is allegedly making this stuff up, but you're saying, oh, Diddy is basically trying to pull her into this, and it was him. It was him over there. Thank you, Black Rose, for the super chat. It was that guy. This is the this is a response to the lawsuit where Diddy, if you're just coming in, first of all, hit the like button. Diddy basically filed a defamation lawsuit or filed a lawsuit against Ariel Mitchell, News Nation, and Courtney Burgess. That's what I said. Do y'all not know that we all work? If we're looking at all of these interviews that's being done, and we all have seen them, most of us in the chat have seen these interviews, because it was a big thing when Courtney Burgess first came out. People were buying the book. I looked on Amazon and read the first 2 pages, and I was like, ain't none of this real. Like the first 2 pages, so I didn't buy it. I was like, what are we even doing? The timelines is off. Y'all got Mary J. Blige before Mary J. Blige was Mary J. Blige. It was just too much stuff that was going on, so I ain't believe it. Okay, so I never purchased it, but that was the frenzy. So then once they figured out he used what is it, Jamel Millwood or Millhouse or whatever. He used a name that sounded like a Black person on there. And then I guess he's saying he was the original person that perhaps gave this information to the white guy who originally came out and said it was him. So Burgess wasn't even the only one at first that was even claiming some connection to this book. And now all of a sudden it's like, I'm like, what am I missing here? What am I reading? All right, let's go on, because y'all picking up what I'm putting. I was like, wait till y'all hear this. That's what made me go live about it. So she said, so the lawsuit, the motion to dismiss, this is the motion to dismiss. That was the original question. I didn't finish. I went off on a tangent. But this is the motion to dismiss by Ariel Mitchell against Diddy's lawsuit that he filed against her. Worthy of mention is that Mitchell herself does not appear to make or affirm these specifics on air. Rather, plaintiff stretches Mitchell's presence to imply endorsement. The essence of the FAC alleges against Mitchell involves the following. So this is what they're saying she's been accused of in the complaint. Number 1, she lied in stating she had a police report that was going to be attached to her complaint against plaintiff in a California filing lawsuit. 2, she stated on the air that people have been shopping around X tapes concerning plaintiff, and that was in furtherance of or supported a letter statement by another person. So yeah, I remember the whole shopping around, because they were talking about catch and kill, and people started asking me, is that even legal? Number 3, another individual statement that he was in possession of X tapes regarding plaintiff was a lie, and Mitchell's peddled each statement with actual malice. So they're saying the defamation claims in the FAC against Mitchell are meritless on their face and should be dismissed. Second, because all of Mitchell's statements are not defamatory and instead are intended to link to statements made by Burgess, the claims facially fail for the same reason. And alleging such connection between statements and the individual defendants, the FAC fatally assumes that Mitchell had met Burgess before such statements were made in September 2024. So you made statements before you met him? However, these claims cannot even be alleged in a light most favorable to plaintiff, because the individual defendant did not meet or speak until Burgess was subpoenaed to the grand jury. So why was you even talking about it on the show if you hadn't even met him? So I'm just all confused by the response, by this dismissal. Thus, all of Mitchell's statements regarding X tapes is not defamatory or in support of any of the statements made by Burgess. Therefore, the FAC facially fails on Mitchell's own statement regarding X tapes as well. If y'all confused, it's okay, because I am too. Further, any statement Mitchell made does not rise to a level of actual malice, especially a reckless disregard for the truth. In addition to performing her role as an attorney for matters involving the preparation of litigation or for pending litigation, such vicarious attributions alleged in the FAC concerning defendant Mitchell violate First Amendment principles separating actual speech from associative liability. So basically, she's saying she's on here, but you're almost making her liable by association of Burgess. Let me see what y'all saying. Shantae said they were naming names. I was annoyed and knew it was BS. The steals were from old YouTube videos. It was so bad. She's a terrible attorney that wants to be in the blogs and not courtrooms. That's from Shantae 101. You were tied to your opinion. Andrew said, I know you lying. I'm telling y'all, I was reading it and I'm like, what is happening right now? TJ said, whatever happened to the stories about the alleged Diddy tape with the younger male star? That was supposed to be a part, I think, of what Courtney was saying. The thing is this, and this is just my opinion, obviously. There is no way in the hell that I'm going to be sitting on a platform and my client, I ain't verified nothing you saying. I haven't looked at anything that you're saying, but I'm attaching myself as if I'm your attorney. But we go on. And I've done press conferences. When you do press conferences, there is certain questions you just don't answer. Most of the time, your client sticks to the complaint because it's been filed. There's already allegations or whatever in that complaint. These are allegations from somebody who hadn't even filed a complaint. This was somebody who just was trying to make people believe that he had some connection to Kim Porter, and he allegedly on one of those shows, because I heard a few different stories on how he got the book, but I remember on one of them he was alleging something about he was talking on the phone to some guy and he was at Kim's house and Kim was like, hey, who you on the phone with? And he was like, he gave him his name. I'm on there with Courtney. Okay. Hey, Courtney. He spoke allegedly. Because they were trying to say, did you talk to Kim? Like they were trying to see like what the relationship was. And it never sounded like there was one. That's the first red flag. So then allegedly on that day, this guy gets this manuscript and then it gets in the hands of him. Leo says she damn near became a regular on Piers Morgan. Con and Jim, he got some money to try to recoup. Diddy's going after people who made false accusation that wasn't true or came out in trial. He filed this before he even went to trial. This lawsuit was already filed before then, and it was for, hold on, let me see if I could pull it up right quick. I think they were asking for like $50 million or something, I think is what he asked. He not pulling no punches, whatever that amount was. It made me nervous. It's like, oh. So that was filed January 22nd of 2025. So he filed this even before he won. Okay. He just knew, I think, that it was fake. So he like, oh nah, he sued her immediately. Then she started like showing up. I think she was on one of those specials too that they had where she was on there as well. But you said that's even worse. Shantae said he kept mentioning Shakur Stewart, who's deceased and dated Kim in the 2000s. I knew he was full of it. I just didn't even, like, I was laughing. I was like, y'all got to be kidding me. Y'all believe him? And it's real interesting because how it used to be, and I told you all, you didn't a lot. It's not uncommon for people to come forward and make all these salacious allegations. But typically they just don't make it to the media. Like it's like, okay, they file some allegation pro se in the federal court And you can just Google probably any celebrity's name, and they got some cases that you're going to pull up. And majority are probably pro se, and it didn't go anywhere. They ended up just dismissing it, knowing that it wasn't a claim, a real cause of action. But YouTube and other media platforms have allowed people to come forward, and they can get on video and they can just say what they feel. They can just say their stories, or some people their delusions, what's going on in their worlds. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me. Queenie the Virgo said that white man that said he wrote the book admitted to that guy Delroy from Straight Game TV the book was fake because he got caught in a lie. Oh wow. See, I so like people were doing read-alongs and doing chat. I so never believed it. And one thing, I'm not saying I know everything or I'm trying to get everything right, but I try to get everything right. So I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm never wrong. But something, if you just have a little bit of discernment, like I'm not gonna feed you all things that don't seem legit. I'm just not doing it. I don't care how many clicks and views it is. At the end of the day, to me, it falls on my credibility and who I am. I'm not doing it. I could probably have 1 million followers if I did the clickbait, if I did it the way, some people do it, but I'm just not going to do it. And that right there just didn't. Everybody's like, you getting a book? I was like, nope. I went on Amazon. I read them free pages. It was like 3 free pages. I remember reading them out loud to Dev, and we were cracking up. I was like, oh, they ain't getting my money. Like, they're not getting my money. Not gonna happen. Not going to happen. They're saying it all allegedly LP. It allegedly came from some manuscripts. And it was, I think Courtney Burgess said it already came in the book form or something. It was already there. But the white guy, he used the black name allegedly so people wouldn't know he was white. That's one of the stories I heard, because they wouldn't purchase it if it knew it was from a white guy. It was just so easily, because of the environment with all of the Diddy conspiracies and the arrest and the raids and all the shenanigans, to find out 85% of this stuff was just bull crap, should let everybody know that you need to do your own research and you need to think twice before you believe what everybody say on their videos. You know what? Miss T said her Burberry outfit looked like she shopped at the same knockoff store as Erica Kane. Enough, Miss T, that's not nice. Really B said she had fun reading it. You have fun reading a fictitious mess. All right, so they go into the standard of review. We don't have to read that. That's just what the review is in order, what the judge, how they're going to look at this motion on a motion to dismiss. So they go through how do you state a claim for defamation. So their first point is plaintiff's complaint fails to state a cause of action for a defamatory statement of facts. So a claim for defamation requires the plaintiff to establish 1, a defamatory statement of fact, 2, that it was false, 3, published to a third party, 4, of and concerning the plaintiff, 5, made with the applicable level of fault on the part of the speaker, 6, either causing special harm or constituting defamation per se, and 7, not protected by privilege. Okay, so we don't need that part. Furthermore, only statements that are objectively verifiable as false are actionable. Statements of pure opinion, rhetorical hyperbole, or those that cannot be objectively proven true or false should not meet the threshold for defamation liability in this court, as established in Milkovich v. Lorraine Journal Company. So this is their facts they're putting to the law that I just read. Here, as an initial matter, the allegations in the FAC fail as a matter of law to establish false statements of fact that are actionable under the defamation laws. The failure or non-attachment of a police report to a lawsuit compiled of hundreds of paragraphs of allegation fails to meet this burden, and attached of an exhibit is a supporting document by nature, where the FAC fails to state that the allegations in the complaint that the police report supported are defamatory. Second, the mention of others shopping around a sex tape in Hollywood fails to allege facts easily available to be confirmed or denied. So people saying, I guess they're shopping around this video in Hollywood and she repeated it, is saying that because it can't be confirmed or denied, that it's not defamatory or it can't be deemed defamatory. In the dichotomy of opinion versus fact in the defamation context, all statements attributed to Mitchell are, as a matter of law, non-actionable pure opinion because, as a textual analysis confirms, they are statements of opinion which are accompanied by a recitation of the facts upon which they are based. And they have law there. And so these are the facts that they say apply to that law. In this case, all three examples of statements attributed to Mitchell can only follow statements by others and thus not capable of being proven false. The first consists of details involved in a California lawsuit where the plaintiff had to have sworn that the police were contacted at a minimum. Otherwise, a police report would not have been claimed to have been made surrounding the incident. The second, regarding tapes being sold, also was based on statements of others claiming to have been selling a stake to a high bidder, and thus is not capable of being proven false. Lastly, the only allegations that connect Mitchell to Burgess are statements made by Burgess. Mitchell is alleged to have sat next to Burgess after he showed the world pictures of what he claimed was taken from videos. Ain't no way I'm sitting by somebody who I have not validated whether this is true. The allegations consist of Burgess' statements, and his property was shortly thereafter seized as part of a grand jury investigation conducted by the SDNY. Mitchell was representing a client who was the one who made such statements. Logically, it follows that only statements alleging facts can properly be the object of defamation action. As a result, the statements were not defamatory as a matter of law. Point two, plaintiff's complaint is facially insufficient because the complaint fails to adequately allege injuries or special damages. Moreover, plaintiff cannot adequately plead damages or injuries, especially in light of all the negative publicity he has received since at least November of 2023. The crux of a claim for defamation is an injury to the plaintiff's reputation. So they're saying everybody was coming against Diddy at this time. Everybody had allegations and conspiracies. So why you picking on me? It could have been anybody that injured you. Here, plaintiff cannot fairly plead other than stating mere conclusory paragraphs that Mitchell, not attaching a report to a complaint, repeating that other want to sell X tapes, and sitting next to Burgess as his lawyer, denied his right to a fair criminal trial or that his trade was affected. If you just came in towards the beginning when I was reading this, and they were kind of basically saying that Diddy had a fair trial, the justice system did what it was supposed to do because he was found not guilty on, they said he was found not, he beat the charges, which he did not beat all the charges. He does have to go for sentencing on two of the claims unless they end up being dismissed. He or one or the other, whatever, ends up being dismissed for whatever other reason, or whatever motion that they decided they're about to file on his behalf. So he has sentencing right now scheduled for, I think it's October 3rd. But they're basically saying that regardless of what people were saying about him, he still came out on top. So he couldn't have been damaged because he came out on top. As mentioned above, the civil allegations levied against plaintiffs since September 2023 and the Southern District of New York's investigation, indictment, and superseding indictments filed against plaintiff did more damage to plaintiff's reputation than anything alleged herein against Mitchell. But wasn't this the guy talking about minors and stuff? That's not even what he was in trial for. What's more, the evidence elicited at a trial was extreme to the point where any living person's reputation would be affected from such. Okay, but the problem is this lawsuit was filed in January and the evidence in trial hadn't even been disclosed to the public by that time. So that's not even relevant. Notwithstanding the same, plaintiff did successfully defend against and secured a not guilty verdict after trial in his RICO and ex-trafficking charges against Ventura and Doe, but at what cost? While I salute his criminal defense team, the fact relevant here is that there are countless of other individuals with actual allegations against plaintiff where any statement Mitchell made is pale in comparison and is merely a drop in the bucket and thus legally insufficient to plead damages in this case. I hope Diddy team tear this whole dismissal up. The way I would respond to this dismissal, because some of the stuff ain't even like, because there are other allegations. We know Courtney Burgess wasn't allegedly telling the truth. He's had dismissals of other people not telling the truth. So just because they're filed does not mean that it's the truth. That is what was happening in all of these videos. So to even say that, oh, well, it's so many other people that what she said was nothing. Oh, it was nothing. When you talk about minors and things of that nature, that is something real big. And then bringing up Kim Porter and he has kids that have to see this about a book and videos you say that you have. All them kids got to say is that affected them more than anything was them bringing up their mother. That don't have anything to do with the trial. That doesn't have anything to do with any of these other allegations that are filed. Basically, they're trying to say almost without saying it that he is a libel proof plaintiff. Like for instance, when I did the Whitehead situation, he was suing people for talking about him, calling him scammers. But the thing is this, you had a history from going to trial, was convicted on a number of counts. You had a number of people basically saying that you were a scammer. You literally did prison time before this time. So they do have it where if you have a historical pattern of certain behavior, then they'll say like you're a libel proof plaintiff. Basically that nobody can say anything bad about you because you already are being talked about. The problem is these are just allegations. They have not been proven. Even when you look back, yes, he did pay some money to Cassie, but she put in there ex-traffic and all of that stuff. He beat them charges. So you don't know if he would have just beat him if he did the civil case. That's why I said it was ridiculous for him to give that type of money when she already put it out. The purpose of you settling and negotiating behind the scenes is to keep your reputation intact that is worth paying this money to avoid this information being out. Whether true, not true, whatever, you know, as people did, they're going to run with it and it's going to affect this man's life. And he knew it. So sometimes, yes, celebrities will pay people to just shut the hell up so they don't mess their reputation up. And sometimes it's not 100% accurate. It's cheaper for me to throw you $50,000 than for me to actually pay my lawyers $2 million to fight you, and then I still got to rebuild my whole reputation. So to almost say like you're a libel proof plaintiff, oh, it's everybody else. I mean, you were horrible anyway, and people have said things, so nothing she could have said would have jacked you up any further. I can't. Khan and Gina said also there was 3 documentaries put on YouTube. Some things in them were not true. QDK, I don't know. They said she said that she saw the videos. I don't know. I thought she said she saw some stills of the video. That's what I thought I heard her say on one of them platforms. That it was some screenshots or she saw some stills of the videos. So I don't know. I got to look back at the complaint because if that's all they put in there was those 3 comments, they needed to search a little bit further because it was a lot of commentary and appearances that were occurring on you, and it was just going like every other day I saw her on YouTube. But then you had it kind of stopped when this lawsuit happened. I ain't really see her like that no more. You said she said steals for sure. Yeah, I don't remember her saying she saw the videos. What major news networks aren't saying is that the 2 charges that he was convicted of are only misdemeanors for first-time offenders. That's from Lindale Williams. Andree says she said steals and that she told them do not send her the video. You said they were from YouTube. So people were able to trace back and find where the steals came from. That's what you're telling me, Shantae? People were able to Google on YouTube and find some steals. I can't. This is just crazy. Okay, so basically he already jacked up in his reputation. She can't do nothing to jack it up more. Point 3, Mitchell's actions are protected by qualified privilege and thus non-actionable. Even if plaintiff can meet the defamation requirement, which are certainly not satisfied here, alleged defamatory statements are not actionable where they are protected by a qualified privilege. New York courts generally recognize that a qualified privilege arises, quote, where a person makes a bona fide communication upon a subject in which he has an interest and the communication is made to a person having a corresponding interest. The New York Court of Appeals has held that statements made by counsel are protected by a qualified privilege if they are pertinent to anticipated litigation undertaken in good faith. As such, plaintiff has failed to state a valid cause of action for defamation against defendant Mitchell. Mitchell's alleged statements regarding Burgess, as well as those not involving Burgess, all share the same characteristics. All of Mitchell's statements were made in anticipation of litigation or during the course of pending litigation. Of what? Who was Courtney Burgess suing? Therefore, Mitchell was protected under Point 4, plaintiff's claims of actual malice. So she's saying it wasn't actual malice, okay? Public figures such as Mr. Combs must prove actual malice, that the defendant made the allegedly defamatory statement with knowledge of its falsity or with reckless disregard for the truth. And that's the seminal case, New York Times v. Sullivan, which is a Supreme Court case. Courts have consistently held that liability cannot be imposed solely for errors, failures to investigate, or for not seeking comment from the subject prior to publication. And that's in Hart Hanks Communications, Inc. v. Connoten, and that's another Supreme Court case. It is well established that the burden rests with the plaintiff to establish falsity, a principle that is especially stringent in cases involving public figures or matters of public concern. Most importantly, the plaintiff must also demonstrate that the false and defamatory statement caused actual injury, which may include reputational harm or special damages such as lost income. Okay, so these are the facts that they're saying why he would be unable to prove malice. Consequently, in this case, plaintiff is a public figure, fails to adequately plead the higher standard of actual malice. That is, that defendant Mitchell knew the statement was false or acted with reckless disregard for the truth. Primarily, the allegations regarding defendant Burgess in the amended complaint references statements to be made Burgess himself. I guess it was supposed to be was made by Burgess himself. Specifically, defendant Burgess is alleged to have flashed around photos and videos during independent interviews he conducted without Mitchell's presence. Nonetheless, Burgess's public showing of photos and videos establishes in and of itself that Mitchell, having received such public statement, could not have acted in a manner that legally constitute reckless disregard of the truth. Rather, the incorrect link in the FAC is the allegation trying to establish a plan or pattern of Mitchell, where plaintiff falsely made the leap. Plaintiff, in stating Mitchell on September 27th, falsely stated that there already have been tapes leaking around the Hollywood being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood, has some sort of connection to defendant Burgess. On such date, Mitchell did not even know Burgess or his affiliates. And more importantly, the allegations rather established that through Burgess's actions, any statement Mitchell made does not rise to the level of actual malice, especially a reckless disregard for the truth. Further, regarding Burgess, it is alleged that he was served with a federal grand jury subpoena where Burgess's property was confiscated or seized as a result. Defendant Mitchell cannot be said to have acted with reckless disregard for the truth. Photos and videos were produced leading to a federal subpoena for this specific material. Then the government or members of the Southern District acted in a manner to take possession of said materials, and thus the government essentially vouched for its existence of said material. So let me get this straight. So what you're saying is, this man gets on a platform and says and flashes pictures around. And of course, they took Diddy's stuff too and obviously didn't find anything. I'm sure Diddy ain't got his stuff back yet. So what they are alleging is that the government essentially vouched for its existence of said material because they took possession of it, because they subpoenaed it. What was they supposed to do? Somebody goes on a YouTube video or a platform and says, yo, I have pictures of him. Somebody is young. I got the videos, all these allegations. And you thought the feds wasn't about to, hello, Mr. Burgess? Yeah, the feds about to come to your darn house and take your stuff. Like, so because they took it, and what, because they kept it, you saying that they basically vouched for its existence? I'm going to have to look that site up because that's a new one on me. Overall, plaintiff erroneously attempts to establish a narrative pattern by linking Mitchell's September 27, 2024 News Nation claims, namely, that there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood, to Burgess, despite explicitly stating that her words reference an unnamed third party, not Burgess or his affiliates. The quoted FAC passage itself reveals that Mitchell described one particular person contacting her about a video and a possible catch and kill, but never named Burgess because she had yet to meet him at such time. So I guess she's alleging that she talked to somebody who said they had a video and they were trying to shop it around, and this was before she knew Burgess. So him getting online with videos, with pictures, doesn't mean you're just trying to connect them when they're two different events. The lack of contemporaneous knowledge of Burgess by Mitchell undercuts actual malice or knowing falsehood. That's it. Wherefore, for the foregoing reasons, the First Amendment complaint should be dismissed in its entirety. Each of plaintiff's claims fails as a matter of law, not just due to insufficient pleadings. If those were the only three reasons they put it on there, they should have been watching more tapes and videos, if that's what they said. I just don't feel like going back to the complaint to see exactly if that's all what they said. Anyway, what we have just read is the response requesting dismissal by Ariel Mitchell related to the lawsuit filed against her by Diddy for defamation. That's what we got. TJ said Jane Doe also said videos were being sold, but doesn't sound like these were the videos the lawyers pretending she saw. So allegedly, I know according to, it's supposed to be celebrities in those videos. Jane Doe never said anything about celebrities that I know of. They were just talking about videos that were allegedly out there of some of these workers that I guess were recording. Amani said, what about those surviving Diddy documentaries? Were any of these people featured? If so, what would that mean? I don't know. I watched one of them. I can't remember which one it is. And I did watch one with Ariel Mitchell in it. So she was in one of these documentaries. She may have been in more. I don't know. Child, this is interesting. Now they're not going to let you send a super chat. They really playing me. I must be on punishment. I shouldn't be, right? But YouTube doing me bad, Danielle. Queenie the Virgo said, I think people feel like since he can get time served, they feel the charges are felonies. He can get anywhere from 0 to 20. Well, I already knew when they said up to 20 years and all of that stuff. I already knew those were the lesser charges that he got convicted of. So anyway. Yeah, she did. She did get a little quiet. All right, y'all. Hope you guys enjoyed the live. I just had to come on because what in the what? I was like, what am I reading here? So apparently they're trying to minimize everything. He was found. It doesn't matter what people said. He still was found not guilty. So nothing affected him. Then it's 1,000 lawsuits. So he ain't got no special damages because his reputation was already jacked up. So there's that. Couldn't be defamatory because she ain't say it. It was Burgess that said it. So this is a third party. Then she says she has qualified immunity because it was before litigation, during litigation, about litigation about to happen, in anticipation of litigation. And so she should have qualified immunity. I am going to watch and see how Diddy's attorneys respond. Because if it's anywhere in my head how I would respond, it should be a good response. Okay. So we'll see how this goes. Thank you so much for the Cash App. Khan and Jima, thank you so much. But I'm gonna get on off of here. It's been an hour. Make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Thank you guys so much for supporting your girl. I appreciate it, and I'm gonna holler at you guys next time.